Now let's go for the doors and the windows. So I go to the plan to place a window here. But one thing, we should never empty the place of the doors and the windows. I mean, there must be a wall, and then we go and design our doors and windows there. The technique of designing windows and doors are completely alike in Revit. So let's start with door. When you select a door and bring it on the wall, you see the door appears. You can change the door from being top or bottom by moving the mouse, and you can change it from being left to right by clicking on space. As you can see, when I move my mouse, there's a size over there. Either I can move my door based on that size, or I can change that size after locating it. Now let me tell you something that is really important. Right now it's giving us the sizes from the middle of the wall to the middle of the door. And it doesn't seem to be the right and the good size for us. And for example, maybe we want the size from the edge of the door to the edge of the wall. Now, how can we do this? That's right, we should go to the Manage Headline, then Additional Setting. If you remember the temporary dimensions here, we had this before. Then click on Temporary Dimensions. We already learned that how we should control the temporary dimensions for the wall. That I said it can be center lines or faces, and faces actually was more useful. So for the walls, we have faces, and for the doors and windows, I leave it on the openings to give me from the edge. So walls on the faces, doors and windows on the openings. Now let's go and see what happened. Let me delete this and put another one. So I said first we select door, move your mouse on the wall, and this time it gives us the size from the edge, from the boundary of the door to the edge of the wall. And we also said that you can determine the size by moving the mouse now, or you can change it later. While you're placing next doors or next windows, as you can see, it shows the sizes from the doors or the windows that are next to it. I mean, it doesn't show the sizes until the wall if there is a window next to it or a door. You see, if I put one in the middle, this is what happens. Now let's review all this with the window. So I select the window, bring my mouse on the wall, and the temporary dimension has already been managed. And it's telling me the sizes from this door and that door, the doors next to it. Let me zoom in so that you can pay attention. If I click on space now, nothing happens. But why? Because our window is inverse. You see, check my mouse. When I move it, the window is moved too. And in this way, we can draw different windows by paying attention to the bottom of the window. Now, how should we manage the OKB of the doors and the windows? First of all, I should go to the 3D. If you select a door or a window, you can manage the OKB from the properties. The right expression for OKB is sill height. Actually, OKB is not the best expression. The right one is sill height. And it actually shows us the height of the bottom of the window, that now it's on 91.5 centimeters, and I can change it to 1 meter 20. So OKB is a parameter that you can change it in the properties, and it actually does not seem to be so common, but you can still manage the OKB. Alright, that was the method of placing doors and windows. Now, let's go for the sizes. What should we do if we want to have a new size? because until now every size we used was a default. So let's go to the plan. For example, here I want to place a bigger door. So I click on the door. You can see some default sizes and it even has a model. Well, the model is okay. I just want to change the size. All right. A new size means a new type. All right. So if you want to change the size, you need to go to the edit type. You want a new type. So I click on edit type. You can also click on preview in here if you like. In here, it's showing us the properties of one of these doors and we have nothing to do with it. We want to create a new one. So what should we do? We should click on the duplicate and that means that get a copy of it and then we will give our own parameters. Now, what are the standard names for the doors and windows? First of all, you should write the first 3 letters of your project name. Now here, for example, my project name is Revit, so I write RVT, then slash, and it can be hashtag too. After that, you should write the size of the door, for example, 1.20, 2.10. It's better to be centimeters, I think. Again, slash. And after that, the material we're using, for example, wood. And then, okay. Now, is everything perfect about this door? No, now I should enter the parameters. You see here, height 2.10. Pay attention to the unit. Now, it's millimeter. So, now the width 1.20 and for now we have nothing to do with the material. So we duplicated first, then we created a new type. After that we entered the sizes and now everything is okay. So we can come here and place our door this way or this way with the mouse, and with this space we choose if it's left or right. Now let's create a window. So I select a window and imagine that we like the model and we just want to change the sizes. So first of all, I go to edit type, then duplicate the first 3 letters of the project name, a slash, and then size. Again, the slash and the material. Now I have nothing to do with it now. Alright, we created a new type. Now I should enter the right parameters. Just like that. And then click on OK. So I come here and place them just like that. Most of the windows have another parameters too. You see now where the glass is, maybe you want it to be in the middle. And I should say that not all of them have these parameters, only some of them. So you can select it and go to edit type, and it's actually window inset. You can make it more, for example 10 centimeters. So with window inset, you can change the place of the glass. Alright, now let's go and make 2 more types. Or just 1 more, yeah, that's better. So we go to window, the same model for now. Then click on edit type, duplicate, enter the size, the height 1.90 and the width 1.20. Click on OK and then place it. Now, let me tell you a very good point. When you select the window and go to edit type, here you can see a default sill height. What is it? And what is the difference between this one and that sill height? Well, this one is the OKB of the time that you're placing your window. In the exact moment that you're placing it. But after you placed it and it's over, this will not work anymore. You should change it with this option. So one more time, the default seal height is the Windows OKB while you're placing it. After it's finished, you need to use seal height in the properties. Alright, now let's go and see. I go to 3D and select this and change the OKB to 40, for example. And when I go to edit type, the default seal height is still 91.5. And definitely changing it will not affect this. But now if I create a new window like this, is that default OKB, default seal height. So this one is effective before placing and that one is after placing the window. Alright, now for how long should we use these default models? Now I want to show you new models. For example, French or round and a lot more. Well, to be able to enter new models, you need to load them, and definitely we do this anytime we want something, but it's not in Revit. So, first of all, I go to the door, then click on load family. It's actually in edit type too, you can see a load in here. It's not different, so I click on it, and then you enter the Revit rack. And if you have not organized your rack, then you cannot access to these files. And if you see there's nothing in here, go back and see my explanation about the racks. And if it's still you had trouble, you can contact with me so that I can help you. I enter the door file, and these are the models of the door that I have. And I actually downloaded a lot of them and I uploaded for you too. You can create these doors yourself, you can download them or you can receive from someone. You must have this archive. So I pick one and enter, and it may be for the old versions too, but it's not important at all. And okay, you see, when you load a family, it usually brings some default types with it, and they're usually not the sizes that we want. And I think it's best to duplicate the new models immediately after you load them. Now, for example, if I want to place it, I don't know the sizes, so I go to edit type and do all the levels that I told you, the names, everything. The parameters are usually alike, but if you see a lot of them, don't scare. Just use the ones you need. You just need a height and a width. That's it, nothing more. 2.10 and 2.20. The rest of the parameters are given to it by the person who created it. And if you're so curious, you can change them one by one to see what happens. We cannot explain them because doors have different parameters. But these two parameters are always important, and also the window inset. And actually this one is a door it doesn't have, but if it were window, it had a window inset. Now let's place it. Now let's place windows as a review. So I go to the window, then load family. You can see different windows here. I choose one of them. I said it's useless to place it now because we don't know the sizes, so what should we do? That's right, edit type. Then duplicate RVT, which can be so useful, don't ignore it. then write the height and the width, and then I place the windows just like that. Let me do one more time. Edit type, duplicate, RVT, the height and the width. In this way you can load different kinds of doors and windows, and after duplicating you can place them. For example, now I want to use other models, so I open it, and this RVT helps you know which one is yours, you know. You see, it's so easy to know which one is mine. And remember one thing. Most of the things that you create are listed down here, as you can see. For example, this M fixed that I already used, I select it again. I open this one again, and for example, and I choose arc top, has an arc at the top of it. And again, for example, this sliding, I haven't built it because it has RVT. And that's it, you can place them very easily. Now a point, for example, you're placing windows, and when you click on load family, you see several doors and windows that are specialized for the curtain wall. If you open these doors and windows, a palette opens. Pay attention. The doors and windows that are specialized for curtain wall cannot be loaded. Here it says to Revit cannot load the following files. And this happens to door and window. Let me try the doors too. It's clear by the name. It's written curtain wall. It's here, as you can see, we have 3 kinds of curtain walls. If you open this, well, as you can see, it won't load. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the curve walls. So, when you select a window and place it in the curve walls, the window stays straight, not curved. And I think it makes sense. But if the size of it gets too much, well, it's going to be a problem. For example, 3 meters in 1.6T. Well, it gets too bad, and even the 3D, yeah, this is too ugly. There are different techniques for it. For example, place a curtain call that I will explain it in the curtain wall episode. But if you want to use it now, the technique is that you use the windows with short width. Just like that, place those windows. And as you can see, this happens. So, if you want to place windows in curved walls, try to use the windows with short width and place them next to each other. And of course, there is a better technique that I will tell you, but not now. Now, increasing the number of windows, for example, we have these 2, we want to add them until up. So definitely I select these, I actually select one of them first, and I hold the control and select the other. And then I click on copy in here. Pay attention, when you want to copy an object from one file to another or from one floor to another, you should not use this one, but you should use this copy that its shortcut is Ctrl C. So what we know now is that we can go to level 2 and use the current view paste. But if you have, for example, 100 floors, we can't just use current view. So what should we do? We use a better paste. When an object is about to repeat in several floors in the same way, for example in 20 floors, you should use the Align to Selected Levels paste. When you select this, it asks you where exactly or in which level should I paste this. It's exactly like current view, the only difference is that it does it in several floors. So, for example, I say that this window must be in level 2, 3 and 4, and I select them. Alright, that's it. Now, let me tell you one more time. First of all, select the windows you want, then click on copy, open paste, align to selected levels, and 2, 3, 4. That's it. Now a point. Now we have this in level 1. Now let's go to level 2 so that I place a wall where they are pasted. You see, just like that. Let me also place one here. Now Revit recognizes this, that the wall hits to the window or not. See, let me copy and paste in the selected levels. You see, a warning. It says that it conflicts with a wall. So the windows can recognize if they have hit to a wall or not. But about the floors, it cannot recognize. I mean, if there's a conflict between a floor and a window, it doesn't understand. Now let's decrease the space between these two floors. We come to the view. I decrease the space between the floors to make a conflict, just like this. And I also remove these walls too, not to have errors for this. Now let's go to the 3D. So if I select these now, and let me also make the OKB a bit more to hit the floors. Now copy, paste, selected levels, 2, 3, 4. You see that? It's completely clear, and when this happens, you need to edit it yourself. You understand? When this conflict happens, it doesn't give you any warning. You should find it out yourself and then edit it yourself. Alright? Now, if we want to increase the number of all the windows in a project, what should we do? I will also place the shelters too to be able to tell you everything. So I come here and tap and do it with top offset to be fast. And as you already know, the shelter must be unconnected. Now, in order to be able to add all these windows to all the floors, we need to select all of them first. It definitely does not make sense to select them one by one by clicking on them. So what should I do? There's a technique in here that you can filter your selection, like AutoCAD, Max, Rhino, and even here. In Revit, if you open a box and in that box there are different materials, it shows a filter up there. If you click on it, you see the different objects in that selection and also the number of each of them. And sometimes we actually use this filter for counting too. So now I want to have only the windows in my selection. So I click on check none and then I will click on windows and then OK. It also shows me the number of windows to 24. And there's no difference between the models of a window. All of them are selected. So one more time. When you open a box and in that selected box there are more than one kind of an object, a filter appears up there. You click on it and then it says that there are 4 kinds of object and also the number of each of them. So check none, windows and OK. Now all of the windows are selected. For example, you want all the OK bits to be the same. For example, the OKB of all of them is 90. You see, this is the technique. So that all of them have the same OKB. For example, 30. So it's a good method, it's a good technique to make all the OKBs the same. Alright, now we want to increase the number of the windows in all the floors. So I click on copy, open the paste and align to selected levels. But here's the question, because it's not all the same. For example, these three only are in level 1, 2 and 3, but those two are only in level 1. This one, 2 and 3. This one, nothing. Well, I should tell you that this is where Revit comes to help you. If you select all of them, well, we don't have level 5, but let's imagine that we do. And then click on OK. The place that there's no wall, there won't be any windows either. You see, because there's no wall top of the level 5, then there won't be any windows either. So let me click on OK so that you can see. You see, that's it. And the places that it has a conflict, it gives us a warning. It warns us that some of the windows were on no wall, so I deleted them. Now, what about these ones? Actually, that was why I designed the shelter. See, the OKB of these are 90 now. The height of our shelter is 1, so it has 10 centimeters space, and then it comes on the shelters. So if this happens, you can delete them really easily by using one of the views, mostly 3D, and that's how it will be. You might also wonder why not these ones, because these are not in the same direction. It didn't work in here and here, that was the console, because they're not in the same direction. And if we wanted, we need to place the windows and the doors in these parts ourselves. Alright, now a question. If I suddenly find out that all these windows that have an arc at the top of them are not good, they don't seem good to me, and I want to select all of them and turn them into another window, so what should I do? You might think of that filter again, but it's wrong, because the filter does not understand the different kinds, but the different objects, alright? So we need to use another technique. Anytime in Revit you want to select the objects with the same kind, for example, I want to select all the windows with this kind, with this type. And when I say this type, I mean this is their name, as you can see. So I select one of them and I right click, and then I can see a select all instances here. That means all the same kinds, alright? And it has two options, visible in view and in entire project. So now I set two views next to each other so that you can understand it perfectly. Plan and 3D. Alright. Okay, now I'm in level 1. Pay attention a lot, is so important. Okay, I select this in level 1, right click on it and then select all instances. So if I click on visible in view, which of those windows will be selected? That's right, all the windows that are like this, but they're in this view. And in this view, I mean level 1. Not in this zoom that you're seeing now. The windows that are like this and they are in this view, I mean in level 1. You see, it just selected these, not other floors. This can be useful when you just want to, for example, select the windows in the level 1, just those. So I open it from here and click on, for example, sliding 2. Alright, this is one way. The next way is that no matter I'm in plan, I want to select all the windows like this in every floor. So I right click and select all instances and then in entire project. Alright, it selects all of them in the entire project, and then I can open it from here and change the model too. Alright, definitely while you're in 3D, there is no difference between these two. But why? Because this view shows the whole project. But if you are in a view, in a cut, or in a plan, these two options are completely different from each other. So I selected all of them and changed the model, for example, or the OKB, or anything else. Also remember that this technique can be useful for doors, windows, walls, furniture, floor, or anything else. For example, all the 9 cm walls or all the concrete floors. It's actually so useful and it can help us many times. Alright. Now, one question. You see these windows, this kind of windows. For example, I suddenly decide that I want to change the height of only this window from 180 to 150. So what should I do? Should I go to edit type and change the height here? Definitely not, because if I do it, all the windows in this kind will change, but I don't want this. I want to change only this one. So what should I do? I select it and then I go to edit type, and then what should I do? That's right, duplicate. We actually create a new type and then change the height from there. Alright, now another question. Now if I want to make these two like this one, what should I do? Should I duplicate again? No, I select these two and click on the one that I just created in this list. So we come to a conclusion in here. When do we create a new type? Exactly, when we don't have that kind, that material, that size. We can select it and then from properties, move it to the model that we want. You can also use match properties. You go to modify and here you have match type properties. You see it won't have the same OKB but the same type properties, and that's how I do it. And if there are multiple, then there's an option for that too. You select it and after selecting them, then you click on finish. So we duplicate only when we don't have that model. Alright, if we have that model, we can select it and move it from properties or use the match properties, this one and then this one, and that's it. Remember that you can change the model of your window too. For example, I want to make these two look like this one. I mean, not just sizes or the type, generally something else. So you can use the match properties again and say this one and this one. Or you can select it and then do it by that list of the properties. So we can change the type or generally another model of the window. Definitely you can't turn it into a door, but you can turn it into any model of a window. Now let me tell you a point. Imagine that we want to use this door in here too. Also in here. So instead of selecting it and then look for its name, and then we go and find it in our list, there is an easier way. For example, let me select this one. The name is interior double sliding 2 pane or 2 panel, sorry. And then click on door and find it in the list. Or imagine that I want to draw this wall in here too. So I select it, I look at the name, and then I find it in the list of the walls. There is a method so that you can make an object a default of the software. For example, this door, I select it, and then here I click on create similar, and its shortcut is CS. If I select this, and this is what happens, and again the same thing. Or for example, here I want to draw this kind of wall, so I select it, then I click on create similar and draw. You can use it many times so that you don't want to find that type and start drawing. Alright, I told you everything about how to place a window and a door, but there is something, and that's the height of a cut in the plan. When I go to the plan, you see this window, for example, the OKB is 90. Let me make it 1.10. Well, it's okay, let me make it 1.30, and it's gone. Now let's find out why this happened. Well, I draw a wall in here first, and I will tell you everything. A wall and some doors and windows in it. So, window, and with different OKBs, for example, 60, the first one. This one, for example, 1.20. Next one, 1.70. What do you think happens? That's right, it's gone. For example, 2.40. A warning that I will check later. 3.20. And I also will place a door too. Let me place 2 of this usual kind. So these were out, that it gave us the warning too. So I increase the height of the wall. So I select this and then click on WT so that we can check it next to the plan. Now these two windows can be seen, yeah, but the third one cannot be seen. The third one's OKB was 1.70, so we can find out that the height of our cut page in plan does not reach 1.70. But in Revit we can manage that. Well, we learned in the university that what is the plan definition anyway? It's a horizontal cut with a height. Now we want to manage this height. So, first of all, you should go to the properties, but not in 3D, you should be in plan. You go down, and then you can see view range. And you can use this in order to manage your height. So, you can click on edit in here, or you can use the shortcut, which is VR. Now if you click on show, you can see some things in here too. Our most important item in here is number 2. Now what is number 2? The primary range cut plane. So you can change the height of this cut plane from here. There are also other important items too, for example 3, which is primary range bottom, and also number 1, which is range top. But remember that the cut plane can never be more than the top, the range top, which is here. For example, now the cut plane cannot be more than 2.30. If you want it to be more, first of all, you should increase the range top. For example, that one would be 3, and then increase this one. Alright, now we know that the height is 1.20, so these two can be seen, but the rest of them cannot. So I click on VR, and that was 1.70, so I write 1.18 here. And when I apply, what happens? The third one appears too. Now the fourth one, that was 2.14, so I enter 2.15 here. Now apply. Well, two things happen here. One, one of the windows disappeared. Two, the doors disappeared. Let me undo so that you can see when it was 1.80, we had the window here and two doors there. But when I change it, you see what happens? Well, this one appeared, but one of our windows is gone and also two doors. So we come to a conclusion in here. First of all, the maximum of our height is the same as the height of our door. So if the door's heights are 2.10, the height of that cannot be more than 2.10 either. Now a question. Now the cut plane is 2.10, so how should the rest of the windows appear? To be able to do it, you need to use the view range for a special region. And by this I mean that you manage a special height for a special region that your windows are in. But how? You go to the view headline, then plan view, and then plan region. And now you select the part that those two windows are in, which is here. You draw it and then you click on finish. And this one now has a separated view range that is only for that region. So I change the height, enter 3.20, and then it says that the height is more than the top, so I should increase the top now and then apply. You look at there, those two appeared now. So the times that you have a window that are really high, you need to go and draw a special plan region for them. But generally, the height of the cut plane cannot be more than the height of the door of the project. And let me show you another example too. For example, we have a wall here. Let me increase the height and place a door. And I think 2 is enough. Now the windows. I duplicate and now it's a high window 2.4T. And that's it. All right. Again. I manage the height 1 meter and 4 meters. Okay. So I place it now and the OKB is 2.4T. For example, this way. You see that? Now, if you go to VR and then enter 2.50, well, the doors will be gone. So what should we do? We enter a reasonable view range that works with all the objects of the project, and then we go to plan views, and then plan region, and after that a specific region that the windows are in. Then change the view range to 2.50 and that's it. You also find out that these are into each other in here and you can fix it. Alright, now I want you to go and practice on all the points I said, and I expect you to draw several doors and windows with different OKBs. I mean that you should design something like this that I designed for you.